Today we're going to talk about some idioms. Up in the air means it has not been decided yet. So if something is up in the air, you don't know what will happen. It is different though than not learning it yet. So I might not know what will happen if Mrs. Berberick, the science teacher, is doing an experiment, but it's not up in the air. She knows what's going to happen. There's a scientific process that already states what's going to happen. So that's a different kind of not knowing what will happen. This, if it's up in the air, means you don't know what's going to happen because you haven't decided yet. That decision hasn't been made. So if you get an answer wrong on a test, there is a correct answer. You just don't know it yet. That's not up in the air. Up in the air is not about answers or facts. It's about what will happen, like activities, but no one has made a decision yet or made a choice yet. So an example would be if my son is up in the air about what he wants for his birthday, it means he has some ideas of presents he might like, but he hasn't decided what would be the present he wants the most. So here are some examples. If your friend comes over, but you haven't decided what you will do, it's up in the air what you're going to do. So if you said, my friend's coming over, and mom said, oh, what are you guys going to do? I don't know, it's up in the air. Or if you're going out to dinner, but you haven't decided where to go, you could say that is up in the air. If you don't know an answer or haven't picked an answer on a test yet, that's not up in the air. You're not sure, but there is a right answer. So see the difference there? Another one is rising to the challenge. So there's 3 steps in rising the challenge, 3 things that have to happen for you to rise to the challenge. 1, it has to be hard. So that's the challenge part. It cannot be something easy or something you can already do. Then you're not rising to the challenge, you're just doing well on something. So if you take a test and you get an F on the test, it's hard, right? So that's something that is not coming easily to you. Then if you go on to the second part and you put in more effort, you work harder, you study more. If it was an example where you were playing a sport, you're practicing extra. Then the third thing is, now that you've put in all this extra effort, all this extra work, then that third part that happens when you rise to the challenge is that you get better. You see improvements. It's not as hard as it was, or it's still hard, but you're better at it. So for example, if this was a math test, it might still be hard for me. I might still have to really think hard, and it's not like I'm adding 1 + 1. Like I really have to think, maybe use my fingers, maybe remember the strategies that my teacher taught me. But even though it's hard, I'm able to do better at it because I've put in all that work. That's rising to the challenge. It has to have all 3 parts. It has to be hard. You have to work harder. You have to put in more effort. Depending on what it is, if it's schoolwork, you're studying harder. If it's a sport, you're practicing more. If it's friendship, you're working on those social skills over and over again. You're practicing them. And then you have to get better at it. If you're putting in that extra effort and you haven't gotten better at it yet, you're trying to rise to the challenge. You're rising to it, but you haven't done it yet. And the important part there is because if you quit before you get better, then you didn't rise to the challenge. You have to get to the point where you're getting better. Another one is Plan B. Plan B has also 3 parts. Plan B, you need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, if it's up in the air and you're undecided, you can never end up at Plan B. Plan B means you have a plan. Let's say you plan to ride your bike to your friend's house. Then that plan doesn't work. So in the case of you riding your bike to your friend's house, let's say you get a flat tire. So your plan was to ride your bike, but now you have a flat tire. So that plan doesn't look like it's going to work. Now, if you were going to rise to the challenge, you might change that tire. But let's say you don't feel up for rising to that challenge, because that would be rising to the challenge because you would be putting in some work, putting in some effort to fix that tire. But I don't want to rise to the challenge. I don't want to put in the effort to fix that tire. So instead, I make plan B. I try something else. I'm not going to ride my bike. I'm going to walk. Walking is plan B. Plan A was to ride my bike. Plan B is to walk, to try something else.